What up, Hoss? How you doing? Happy new moon in Capricorn. We're gonna do a little new moon reading tonight. I'm pretty excited. I have manifested something really funny I'll tell you about, and then I also did some magical foraging today for a magical elemental project I'm going to be playing with, so you'll know more about that soon. So just a little tease there, but it is poignant that I was doing that activity on the new moon, so I feel like a beast, just rolling up hard and hot and fast into 2022. I did a video yesterday, I'm making a video today, and I have gathered like natural substances from wild journeys, so just look out and see what's coming, people. So I'm so excited that our new moon, the first new moon, is in Capricorn. The energy of this year is so hopeful. It's such a great clean slate time to resurrect and build anew. The towers crashed last year. We're through the worst of it. We may have a little bit of like light turbulence getting going, but it's just those final tests that show you that like, wow, you really aren't triggered that much anymore by the same things that you used to be, or not as bad. Like you're really like so much tougher and braver, and you're kind of like, you know, Rambo in one of the later, you know, franchises where it's like these like action heroes are just sitting trying to be a hermit in the woods somewhere, and people call and they're like come knocking and they're like, you've got to help us, and they're like, oh, I'm just trying to give it all up, you know. It's like you're just totally unfazed by, you know, it all anymore. And so it's great, like we're all doing so much better and looking, you know, lighter by the day, and you know, just looking forward to building this new authentic, fun, playful, joyous life where we're really pairing ourselves up with things that we really enjoy and bring us joy, and that like are really stuff that we want to get ourselves involved in and spend our time and resources and put our hearts in and our minds in. And I just think that it's going to bring so much fulfillment, and people are going to really start aligning with their soul-driven purpose and getting to use their talents and those weird quirks that make them, you know, like maybe like your weaknesses will help you. You can combine the like a strange weakness with like one of your like really awesome strengths, and it unexpectedly works out to where it's like it alchemizes in such a way that allows you to do this like this thing, you know. So brand new year, brand new fun year. It's a year about big choices that are gonna impact your life, and it's also a year where astrologically we're having all of the support and revisiting like the things that we really value. You know, what are the durable, beautiful, sensual things in our life that we want to surround ourselves with for the long term? You know, like what kinds of career do we want to have? What, you know, what do we want to do for a job? What do we want to, you know, have? What kind of relationships do we want with our community and the people around us, and you know, the people that we create with and collaborate with and hang out with, and all of our inner exchanges. And you know, it's the year of like pairings and integration, and you know, getting over the hump, you know. Like we're over the first half, you know, with the numerology. The year is 2022 is 6, and between 1 and 10, like 6 is past the halfway point, and so it's like, I don't know, it's just really exciting times. So to have, you know, this new year with this like big, huge, fresh archetypal life cycle starting, with all of the energy supporting that, you know, we've just done a lot of reflection and releasing and letting go and transforming. And so now it's just sort of that rest and recoup and like get ready for the next phase. It's like when you're mountain climbing. I'm not a climber, but I've seen it on TV. You get to like base camp, you know, and you like rest, recuperate, and you catch your breath, and you get all your like supplies and stuff that you need, because like the next leg of the journey is like, you know, gonna be, you gotta get ready for that and prep. So we're at our little pit stop right now, before it's like all guns blazing, all engines go. And yeah, it's just going to be a fun year. So it's going to be good to approach the year with a real sense of playfulness and just be determined to build your life with fun, you know. And when patterns come up that are challenging you, you know, just remind yourself, like, all right, like, you're trying to cultivate more fun in your life. So what do you need to, like, not, maybe you're not, like, in alignment with some things that you didn't, you know, that you've been doing, or, you know, maybe you want to do something extra that you've been wanting to do. And so, yeah, so it's just like embrace fun this year and really follow the joy, because we're starting fresh and we have a new chance to build. And it's such a gift to be aware and awake and, like, conscious when you have your wits about you and you can make choices, like really conscious choices, and choose what you really want. And so it's really exciting, and things are just going to keep getting better. I just feel it. So the numerology of today is, so the 2022 is a 6. And then we have January 1st, which is a 1, and the 2nd, which is 2. So 1 and 2 is 3. So we have 3 and the 6 over here. Well, the 6 is like the archetype, or the major arcana year of the Lovers, the big choices, you know, the stuff we just talked about, like the, you know, it's like putting the big pieces in place, the foundational pieces for life. And then, like, the 6s pretty much in the minor arcana are really all good. They're mostly good. Yeah, they're really all good, because the 6 of Pentacles is about the balance of give and take within your life. You know, are you getting compensated for your work fairly? Are you giving as much as you're receiving? It's about windfalls, unexpected windfalls, charity, inheritances, bonuses, things like that. So the 6 of Pentacles is good. The 6 of Swords is like, it's like the calm after the storm. It's like you're moving out of the bad times into, like, you know, you're moving away from hard, difficult circumstances, you know, unrest, and you're going to peaceful, happier times. So the worst is behind you, and you're moving on to, like, sunnier days. The 6 of Wands is about victory and perseverance, like persevering with a victory assured. Like, it's just like you're rolling into the finish line, you know, and so that one is awesome. And then 6 of Cups is the only one that has, like, kind of a negative. It's like, don't get overly nostalgic. Like, don't be too, like, don't make something it wasn't, you know, or, like, don't get stuck in the past. But otherwise, it's like, it's also like looking back fondly on childhood memories, or getting in touch with your inner child, or healing, you know, your inner wounded child, or rekindling, like, maybe like getting a visitor from the past, like unexpected, you know, person from the past, like resurfaces, you get to catch up, or past life. And so the 6 is really, like, the worst part about it is, like, the Cups, where it's like, don't get too sappy and, like, sentimental about something that if it's not, you know, don't make something, you know, more something than it wasn't. Don't make it worse than it was. Don't make it better than it was. Just be realistic when you know, get nostalgic. So yeah, so the 6 is great. And then the 6 is also the number of the Messiah energy, which is about energetically, it's about the sacrifice, the breaking open of the energy in the center, so that these other governing forces of the universe can, like, crisscross applesauce through, and it all integrates into one unified thing, which the result of that is, like, the surrender of the ego to the higher self, and all of a sudden you reach the highest state of consciousness that the human person within a physical body can attain before they have to be released into the next realms. So 6s are really good. And so the year is the year of the 6. The day and the month add up to 3. And for me, that is huge, because it's the Holy Trinity. 3 is such a great number. And it's also, like, this stable base of that triangle of the shape with 3 sides. You know, it's like, it's so sturdy. There's so much to build on, you know, with that base, and, like, the way that everything's just going up and getting really, like, focused. So I think that there's something really great about that, and that it's like whatever our mission is, whoever or however we're pairing ourselves up this year, that third component needs to come into effect, where we are connected to our divinity, our higher purpose, our higher consciousness when we collaborate, when we pair. And we also, you know, there's gonna be lessons around I guess duplicity or duality, or the double, you know, things that are in twos and pairs, like you know, yin and yang, and those kinds of like you know, paired principles in the universe. That'll probably be a reoccurring theme this year. So look out for those. Look out for what the twos are telling you. It was a little joke from yesterday, if you're in on the joke, in the inside club. So yeah, so I'm really excited that it's like the 6 and the 3, which adds together into this 9, which we were talking about in yesterday's video. That 9 is like, it's like everybody's like all about the 10s, because the 10 is the completion of the cycle. And in the tarot, it's like the 10s are like, the 10 of cups, or the 10 of wands is like, I've had it, I'm over this, I'm done. Like, you're ragged and you're just like, I'm fucking over it, I'm moving forward. This is the end of this. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this pattern. I'm done with this job. It's not paying me enough. I'm getting everything's getting raggedy around me. Like, I've had it. I've had it. That's 10 of wands. 10 of Pentacles is about legacy, long-term, like family legacy, inheritance, like long-term stability, long-term wealth, what you're leaving behind, you know, your great work, like the big long-term physical things that we work towards and what we want. The 10 of Cups is like the happily ever after. Like, oh, I'm so happy. I get to like be so joyous and enjoy and have domestic bliss and harmony and happy family and familiar relationships and friendships and romance. And, you know, it's like you get that happily ever after feeling, the essence of that around your household and your relationships and love and that, and security in that regard. And then the 10 of Swords is, I'm ruined. I'm dead. Like, I've been beat. I'm defeated. I have been betrayed. I am broken. I'm so finished. But positive note is that like the worst is over. It's rock bottom, and it can only go up from here. And then after that, you just keep pulling more 10 of Swords and death and crashing towers. Hanged man. So, okay, so little tarot humor if you're hip to that jive. But anyway, okay, so to me, the 9s are the point where you get your big break, or the big breakthrough, or the big epiphany, or you get to like, you know, you win the race, or you know, defeat your nemesis in like your downhill skiing competition, like in Better Off Dead, or like it's when the hero has that face off at the second plot point at the end of the third act, where it all culminates, and it's like the big final battle where like the hero has to face the big challenge, or the big, you know, enemy or whatever, the big opponent, and then they win. They use all the things that they've learned on the first half of their journey. They face off and they win, and then they take the boon home. So this whole, like, when I was talking about yesterday, I'd misspoken a bunch of different times about like when I meant to say minor arcana, so that it would be 1 through 10 instead of being confusing, because the major arcana is 1 through like 0 through 21. So it's like, what the fuck is she talking about? Halfway through, like, what, the full journey? So yeah, so it's like you journey there, you battle the dragon. That's like the 5 is the battle with the dragon, and then 6 is like, okay, I've got my, you know, thing that I'm carrying, my artifact, I'm on the way back to the village. Like, that's 6. So it's like you're past your halfway point, now you're on the way back. So we're at 9 in this new moon, and so it feels like there's going to be this awesome happy culmination, or this like breakthrough, or something that's going to be the seedling, or the thing that you kind of start this new cycle with, or this energy, or this blessing behind it. Something I feel like is going to like come to a climax or a peak, and there's going to be a big break or a breakthrough or a manifestation that is going to be thematic in the way that you build or have an energy or an influence around it or something. So I think it's going to influence this new cycle and what you're creating for yourself and the kind of life that you're going to set up for yourself to lead now. And so that's fun. And so it's in Capricorn. And so Capricorn is a very stable, durable, practical, hands-on, like not dreamy and fantasy world, but like envisioning and planning and executing and like putting systems in place, like very organized, very detail oriented, very like get the job done and like get things moving. Like we're not dilly-dallying, we're not wasting time. They're very disciplined, they're very responsible people, they're very good business people, they have good business savvy, they know how to like use money, make money, and grow money. Like they're good with their careers, they're good with their professions, and they're good at like taking an idea and like making it happen physically. Capricorn could also be stern and a bit rigid if you overdo it or get too zealous or insecure or defensive. I think that when like Capricorns are confronted and it makes them, I feel like they tend to be defensive, you know, and try to defend themselves more than they're offensive. So I think that could be something to watch out for as you go forward. Like, watch yourself. Don't be too strict. Don't be too stern. Like, we're taking small steps. In Kabbalah, it encourages small wins because the creator is like giving you one little step at a time. Whereas if you're like, well, I have to completely change overnight, and if I don't get it perfect, then it's not even worth doing it all. And that's just like the female representation of the opponent, which, you know, like traditionally we're talking about the Satan, but there's like different levels of like how that energy will mess with you. And it's also good to imagine that it's more of an opponent that is always there to show up equally, to challenge you and to try to get you to fail and to try to get you to do the wrong thing. But it's like, that's the job of this thing, is to do that. And the whole point is to push you to see how far you'll go to like evolve and ascend and grow as a soul. And so it's actually just doing its job. But if you think of it more like that, rather than like in the traditional way, I guess, that people make you so like heavy about it, it's like it takes a lot of the power away from it, and so that dark energy. So it kind of like, I don't know, I just love thinking about reality is sort of like being in this video game where like you have the challenges equal to the level that you're at. They're always coming, and you're always like trying to like, you know, squash challenges or like, you know, things that are trying to like kill you or like a mushroom if you're Mario, and then you get like your coins and whatever. So it's just sort of like there's always going to be challenges. So how did we get off on that? Like Capricorn being stern, don't be too rigid, be playful, be imaginative. So Capricorn's ruling planet is Saturn, and Saturn can be a very strict teacher and a very stern teacher. So, but the thing is though, is that Saturn just wants you to like do things right and like keep it in the lanes, keep it between the lines. I don't know how to describe that, but like if you ever, so like a Saturn return happens when you're 30-ish, and so for many people, like something about their whole life like just falls apart around that age and like dissolves, and that's because Saturn return comes back to make sure that the life that you're creating as of now, like you're at the level of like, you should be like awake enough by 30 to be like conscious of like what you want and like what you want to create. And so Saturn return is like the stern father who's like, have you thought about where you're going in life? Like, do you have a plan for yourself? Like, is it really what you want? You know? And so a lot of times if your life is not in alignment with where it should be and you're not like really following your heart's purpose or your heart's desire, then things are going to get shaken up and crashing towers card is coming for you, honey. Like, Molly, you in danger, girl. And like things will go away. Like my Saturn return, I like lost my relationship. My best friends moved across country. That meant like our like studio that we all like made stuff together, our best clients, like they were gone. And then like I lost my part in this like company and grip truck that I had like been a part of. And you know, it was just like I lost so much by like having to leave that relationship. But I lost the house that I was in at the time. Like I had to like move back home, and it was like I was stripped of everything in my life, and it was so bleak. But it was like a great rock bottom, because from there I got even deeper into spirituality, and I like harnessed even more insight and power and just more evolved maturity, more authenticity, more compassion, more like less bullshit, more like seeing things, you know, real like for what they really are, and seeing the patterns, and more awakenings, more epiphanies, and more downloads. So it was all good. It was just one of those divine storms that had to happen. So that Saturn energy, it's like stern, strict, like it can be. But if you're doing everything, if you're really following those intuitive hits, and you know, you got your shit kind of together, and you're trying, like, Saturn is not so stern, and it's kind of helps you to get those systems and processes in place, and like, you know, keeps you disciplined, self-disciplined, and on track. And it's also about the energy of restriction, which in Kabbalah we learn that restriction is when we go against our nature to like reach for instant gratification, or an instant numbing to a pain, or like anesthetize me, or like I don't like this situation, it's uncomfortable, let's resolve it, instead of like sitting in it and like examining like what it's telling you. And knowing that like, oh, this is going to be a really great breakthrough, and then it's going to like, something great is going to come through. You're thinking like, oh, I want to get out of this. I don't want to accept that this moment is happening. And so you lose the lesson, you lose the treasure. So yeah, it's just, embracing, you know, what's happening and learning from it. And practicing restriction, you know, that means like working hard, staying focused, go against your nature to want to reach for the easy old pattern, you know, bad habits, things that were, you know, crutches, or maybe like addictive patterns, all that kind of stuff that we've already been working on. It's like you're under this direct supervision where like someone's going to swat you with like a ruler. It's like that kind of like the nun is like watching. So I pulled us a couple of cards. So the Capricorn energy is great to build long-term stuff on and have it be durable, sturdy, practical, sensible, like functioning, like good. So this is like the most amazing thing to start this big new cycle during like the new year with all that new year energy. It's just everything is like, all the pieces, everything is lining up to just be like, yes, like go for it. Like we're all here, we're all behind you, like all systems go, what is it at NASA, like systems control, or like the people down in the, I bet everybody else is like, I know what you're talking about. I know the word and I can't think of it right now. It'll come to me later. This is ground control. Major Tom to ground control. That's what it was. Okay, so to work with this Capricorn new moon energy for the month, I pulled us a moon card from Yasmin Boland's Moonology card deck. I love it. She has like a workshop that she does if you're on Hay House's or her email list, and I'm not sure what time. I feel like she just did it in November, but she might do it quarterly, or it might be something that if you sign up for her email address, you just get one automatically. But she does a new moon, full moon workshop thing. And it's so good. It gives you, it just, it's like if you already do moon stuff, then you kind of already do all the stuff anyway. But it was just fun to like get all the manifestation stuff cohesive and like have like a ritual around it every month. So after I did that, I was like, ooh, I don't have any moon phase cards. That would be so cool, because I would like to learn more about, be more aware of the phases and the different the different uses for each phase. Like during the waxing phase, there's like different things you can do for each quarter that are, it's like heightened. And for the waxing and the waning phase, it's like each quarter is like good for different types of like activity. So this is a really super cool deck. So I love it. So yeah. So our card for the new moon in Capricorn, some advice for us to go forward with in this month, is the new moon in Gemini. Communication is key, which I think is so interesting because of the pairs and the whole theme of the twos. It's the twins. See what the twos are telling you. Oh my God, I just realized. Well, you'll see in a second. That's so crazy. Okay, so communication is key. And so this is the perfect time of year anyway to be getting really clear about communicating to the universe what you want for yourself in the coming year. It's a good way to communicate that to your subconscious, to your spirit, to your soul, get all that alignment going within your heart, mind, soul, spirit. You want to communicate through making out your list of like things that you want to come in, major things that you think you can do in the next 6 to 12 months, and then maybe some minor things, and be practical about what you think you can do and really narrow down. Like, don't go over the top. Like, now we're all about like getting rid of like what's not the priority, right? That's been a big thing. So as you make your list for this year, or you envision your dream for this year, don't burden yourself with things that aren't like a hell yeah, so you don't take on things that you think, well, I should do this just because you think that you should, if you don't really want to. Like, whatever's authentic, whatever's most important to you and is truly authentic, like focus on those things this year. So make your list. Sorry, I'm belching. Communication is key. What was I saying? Oh, the list. Yes. And so think about some of the major things that you want to do, the goals that you have, or maybe like inner changes within yourself that you want to change this year. And it's like, make little incremental steps and like really devote yourself to it for you, and like because you love yourself, or you're trying to learn to love yourself. It's a good way to build self-worth and self-esteem and self-love, is to actually like make a commitment to yourself and follow through with showing up. It tells your mind and your brain and your subconscious like that you are so worthy and valuable, and that you care about yourself, and that you matter. And you learn to trust yourself because you see through proof that you keep showing up for yourself. So it really builds this like sturdiness inside of you. And I've really been working on that myself, and I've noticed the difference. So communicate with yourself, get honest with yourself, and have this communication, this dialogue. Okay, what do I want? And then articulate that into a written list, and write it with your hand I like to have like special journals. I like to have ritual and richness around everything. So I love to get a good journal that I'm excited about, and I love to have a nice pen where I like the way that the ink feels, and like the pen feels right when I hold it, and it writes good. And I'm really a big freak about like that kind of accessorizing. And so I like to have that kind of stuff. So I like to make a list. And the thing is that in spirituality and mysticism and energy and magic, manifestation happens, and it first starts as this like this pure potential that perpetuates in like eternal chaos in like the realms before there's like physical existence. And so then like all that energy just condenses, and it keeps condensing until it just sort of pushes through into this other dimension, and it starts condensing like crystallization, like when water and sugar boil and start crystallizing or whatever. So as you're this pure potential crystallizes and concentrates into like energy, it becomes inspiration. I don't know if you ever feel an idea coming on before you get an idea, but you're just like, something is like, you just start feeling good, or, you know, you start getting inspired or excited. That's like the energy starting to enter into like the human, where we connect to consciousness, where it meets reality, and where we butt up against existence, you know. So it starts to crystallize into a vision where you can kind of see it in your mind, and then you're like, oh, okay, like, I kind of know, and then you're like, oh no, now I can envision it, and so it starts becoming more formed, and it starts to take on more density. And so spirit starts as like formlessness that becomes more dense as it comes to this world, this realm, this kingdom, thy kingdom, you know. It's the physical world. It's like our body or whatever. It's our soul within our body. It's just like everything becomes more dense as it enters into this world. So a thought is envisioned, and then it is spoken. It becomes this physical sound vibration. Words have power. Letters have power. Hebrew letters are the building blocks of reality. Like that guy, Terrence McKenna, talks about his DMT trips, and he talks about these like weird little like beings in this other realm that were like bouncing around, like these building blocks. And he was like, I don't know how to describe them. They were just these little energetic balls of like personality, and they were mischievous, and they were like the building blocks of reality. I think he was seeing the Hebrew letters, like the essence of them. So the Hebrew alphabet it's an encoded magical system that builds reality. And so anyway, so your mouth, like the vibrational voice is its own sort of magical portal, but your words are powerful, your voice is powerful, and so that's why chanting and, you know, these sacred languages are like a thing. So anyway, so once you can speak something, that's the thought, that's that magic becoming even more of a thing, of a being birthed into the physical. And so when you take that energy and you do a physical action with it and you write it out, now you have pen, ink on paper that is an even more physical representation of that idea. And there's even been studies, Harvard studies, I was just reading about it in Marie Forleo's book, Everything is Figure Outable, that people who write their goals down are 42% more likely to achieve them, 42%. And that is like a college, like a university Ivy League study. Like, it's not just like, you know, people claiming things because it's cool or sounds good or it's trendy, or because it's ancient wisdom, or like the most ancient mysticism. It's starting to become like accepted in science, that it's like these weird things that usually would be like witch, burr, you know. It's like, well, yeah, witch, but like, no, it's like kind of it's like where spirituality and like physical world meet, like science, spirituality meet, and that weird realm in between, that's energy, that's magic, that's where you can like wield energy, and that's where like humans can touch spirit. And the best that, you know, humans can do is kind of like create magic, whereas like spirit can like intervene and bring miracles and all that. So okay, so we're communicating clearly with the universe, we're making our inspiration physical. So you can also like make a vision board. I like to do that. You can draw it out. You can draw a picture. You can put an item that represents it. You know, I mean, you can like the more physically you represent this thing, it's like the more the process is like you're communicating with the universe. Like, this is what we're manifesting. So communicate the life that you want to create, and follow through with that by taking aligned action. And there's so much more to manifesting. You could go on, I mean, you need like entire workshops around it or whatever, but generally speaking, this is going to help you as you move forward. It's going to give you more clarity. It's going to give your subconscious clarity and direction, and you're going to be able to prioritize what's important and what's not, and remind yourself. And then the universe is going to have a clear order, like putting in your order, or like ordering something on Amazon, right? Okay. So communication is key, not just with the universe, but with all the people that you're going to be interacting in and pairing up with and collaborating with. And every person that we interact with, whether it's the mailman or the person with at the grocery store or like friends or community or whatever, these are the relationships with in our lives. Like we communicate to people. So the way that you communicate, communications in general might be a thing. Maybe you're having to like do a bunch of like email campaigns for your business. Maybe communications, something around that is like highlighted for you this month. We also have a Mercury retrograde coming up too, so be aware of that around your communications. Be very clear because there's like room for error or misinterpretation during the Mercury retrogrades. So just be mindful of quality communication, clear, truth, honest, authentic. Don't be manipulative, don't be passive aggressive, don't be like, I don't know, trying to strategize and like scheme or like do something to like get a certain result. Just be authentic communication. In work, there are so many times where I would get calls from clients and the things that I would say to them like would make other people want to die. Like I would be like, yeah, I just don't want to do that because, and then I'd just be really honest about it. And they would be like, oh my God, I totally understand. And then they would hire me anyway, like make somebody else do it and then like give me more money. It was crazy. It was like all these things that people are like, you should never say that. It's like, I totally did. I just went for it. And it was like, it always worked out in my favor. So don't be afraid to be like a child like that. Like, just communicate authentically from the heart, whether it's business or whatever. And like, you know, just be honest and fair. I remember this one woman I saw on something said that, I can't remember, she's a writer, she's got a book out, but like, she was like, my mom or somebody, like my mentor told me, just be fair and honest and fair or something like that. She was like, nobody can fault you for it. And I was like, oh, that's pretty true. Just be like decent and prudent and, you know, whatever, be kind and fair. Communication with others. Oh yeah, I wanted to read the book because it was like, it said some extra things that I wouldn't have thought about. Okay, here we go. A successful relationship usually comes down to one thing: communication. And the new moon in Gemini card is all about the start of a new cycle for communicating with the person at the center of your question. Talking things through is the answer to whatever it is you're asking about. If you can't talk to that person, you can journal about it to yourself. Emails, text messages, and all other forms of communication will also help you now. If the issue you're asking about concerns a sibling or neighbor, there's a new start coming and it's time to wipe the slate clean and start over. This card could also suggest that you've been too frivolous lately and that you need to get grounded again. But most importantly, drawing this card emphasizes the need to communicate. Oh, there's two things that this reminded me of. So the one thing that was about the, if you can't talk to the person, then journal about it. And this was actually, I'd reposted a video in my stories. If you don't watch my stories on Instagram, I'm not like super consistent about them, but usually they're worth seeing. And sometimes they're not spiritual based or related. Sometimes it's just like the off the wall, like funny, weird stuff that like I'll just like make something weird and funny or fun. But I think it's like you might catch some good material in there. So there was a clip that I had taken from the YouTube channel. It's by the Kabbalah Center, but I think that they have the Kabbalah Center, I think, is the channel that I watch it on. And they have a playlist called the Weekly Energy Boost with Alicia and David. And it's like the best. I love it. But I love David Guillaume. He's such a good Kabbalah teacher. And I love Alicia too. She's a really good teacher. And I take a bunch of the Kabbalah classes through the Kabbalah Center. It's on, you can take it like online and they'll, you know, you have like Zoom classes or whatever, so you don't have to be there in person if you don't live in that city or those cities that they're in. But yeah, so anyway, they were having, on their YouTube channel, they have a podcast that they do a video of. So you can watch the video, but they were talking about proactive spiritual confrontation and they were talking about how there's these certain steps that you can take to make sure that you have done the self-reflection to see what the situation is trying to tell you first, and like you've let it go, your ego is not involved, and like there's a bunch of deciphering factors and steps about proactively confronting someone. But there was also this thing where you did the steps but you didn't confront the person necessarily, you just did like you confronted them like within like a meditation or like a journal entry or something, like spiritually talked to them and tried to work it out before you actually tried to like confront them literally. And a lot of times like it'll just resolve itself. So she's also bringing that up, that's a solution. There was also another thing. Oh yeah, if the issue concerns a sibling or a neighbor, just wipe the slate clean. And in yesterday's video, we were also talking about this year, sort of like refreshing your relationships with family or, you know, friends or people that you want to keep in your life, but maybe there's like some like stagnant or still tension or bad relationship, or like you just can't make it work. And I was just saying that, you know, this year, really making a point to take responsibility for your side so that you're not showing up with a shit stank attitude. Like all you can do is control your side. But if you're showing up with like an open heart and trying to be compassionate and reasonable and give somebody a chance for a new day to just start fresh, or try to not take them so personally, like, and just realize that it's not really about you probably, like, then that starts to pave the way for a better relationship. Because somebody has to like set down the sword and pick up the olive branch. And so it might as well be you, because you're the one trying to show up for your spiritual life by being here. And maybe they're not like, you know, fortunate enough to be privy to a conversation like this where we become aware and we're like, oh, we have the choice to take responsibility and show up the way that we would want to show up to the situation, and the way that we want them to show up for us, right? So set the example. So if you do, you know, you can maybe like clear the air with like a difficult neighbor or a sibling or somebody like that you've had some tension or some turbulence with. Okay, so attuned to the moon tip. Write a list of all the people you love most and see if you're prioritizing them. Oh, and that's so funny because like just this past like few days, I've really been catching up with a bunch of people that are like important to me. And I've gotten to like visit with a couple of people real quick the last couple of days. So I finally like I don't have COVID anymore, and I've finally like been able to like have somebody drop by or something. So it's been nice after everything was sanitized and wiped down with alcohol wipes. Additional meanings for this card. Time to tell someone how you feel. Woo! Don't be all in your head and not in your heart. I'll say that again because I couldn't read. Don't be all in your head and not in your heart. Oh yeah, because like air signs can sometimes be way too cerebral. Someone is flirting with you. Woo! Read more books. That was the little bullet points. And then the teaching says, Gemini is the sign of communication and socializing, of ideas and travel, and the energy around it and around this card. No matter where you pull it is, the energy around this card, no matter when you pull it, is speedy, gossipy, and flirtatious. 30, flirty, and fun. The new moon in Gemini is a wonderful time to get out and socialize. Gemini loves to chat. One thing to be aware of is that this card can also indicate being mentally scattered. I do have COVID brain fog still. It's no joke. Like I've been so just, it's a butterfly. And like, what was I doing? When not to be scattered. Daily meditations will help to unscramble crossed wires in your brain. And you know what? I've been meaning to implement a daily meditation practice for 13 years now, so I'm sure I'll like really nail it this time. Always trying. It's like when I do meditate, I'm like a superhuman, and then I'm like, oh, I just can't fit it in, and it's like, no, I totally can. Like there's like usually 20 minutes a day that I'm just sitting going, should I do that thing that I'm planning on doing next? Like I can't just make myself like shift into gear and do it. So I was laughing before because the numerology of like our 222, I was like, ooh, what are the twos going to tell you? 2022, two twins here. Yin yang and his thing. Yin yang, twins, duality. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Jokes for days. And now we have Two of Pentacles. Can you get over it? Another two. And look at Hoss in his pants. So pimp! Look at him! I love it. His little pantaloons. I'm not crazy about that blouse, but I love the fact that he's juggling time and resources, and he's really having to do a balancing act. But it's like, it's important that we maintain a sense of fun and playfulness, not get stern, don't get rigid, playful, fun. Oh, I also meant to say that Capricorn is a cardinal sign, so it's all about like fresh new energy to start something new, start something fresh, all that like honeymoon energy. Capricorn is a cardinal sign, so that helps when you're starting new things. So our boy, holla at your boy in his pants, his pimp pants, he is juggling multiple priorities and he's doing it well. He's trying not to get stressed out. There's choppy seas, meaning like mood swings can happen if you get tired and like, you know, crabby and puny and like too run down. So that's why it's important to maintain as you're building this new life in the areas of life that tend to get you uptight and stressed out and like make you like real snippy and like salty and like bitter and like rah, and they're the things that make you unravel in the end. It's those things where you need to go in and be like, okay, I can't carry the cross. It's not my job. Give somebody else a ride. You know, like you don't have to take it all on yourself. Don't get mad that other people aren't helping and you're just like run over and do it anyway. Like it's like the whatever ship you're on was running before you got there. So don't take that on, because this moment is a bridge to get you to another moment. So like instead of giving like 300% of yourself in this place that's just like a like a cocoon, not a cocoon, but like just like it's like a lifeboat. It's temporary, you know, it's just it's meeting your needs. Or you're up leveling. So there's something else that requires your extra energy that you would have put into that, and maybe you just temporarily are putting in what usually other people put in. Like your bare minimum is usually like way over and above like what anybody can achieve anyway. So just functional, bring value, but like don't like overgive, because you have to keep some energy to like juggle like your other priorities that you're creating. And remember to keep your focus and your choices and your resources going into that direction that you're trying to feed and build. Feed the dragon that you want to feed and grow, right? So don't work too hard, but you have to, you know, juggle multiple things and multiple priorities right now, and that's totally fine. You need to balance. You might need to balance your budget, or like coordinate your resources, you know, like pay attention to like what you're doing there. But I love this. And then he has the infinity symbol, and it's this zoom energy where it's like there's this like, it's like this energy that's eternal, right? It's infinite, it's eternity. It just keeps like, it's like bending back on itself and always transmuting and like giving and taking and dancing and going back and leaning forward and going back and integrating until it's like this one unified like engine that's always running, and it's like a self-perpetuating engine, like those watches that wind themselves, right? So in order to have that, you have to push back. You have to practice the restriction, which is, you know, being focused, delaying instant gratification, you know, delaying that whole like payoff, because the big payoff is coming. So don't lax and like backslide because you're weak and you want to go back to like an enticing, tempting habit, right? Practice restriction, delay the gratification, continue working, keep showing up in these incremental pieces, small steps, small wins. Don't beat yourself up. That beating the whole self up, like that whole like, oh, I could have been, it's such a waste of energy, such a waste of time. It puts you in the dumps. It like takes you into that despairing place. So not magnetic. It's so disruptive when your whole life is going really well and like it's in this vibration up here, and then all of a sudden you're like this, like somebody stuck like a stick in the bicycle spoke, and it'll cause like a chaotic thing to happen. So yeah, just keep that balance, keep that forward momentum. You don't want that slap from that ruler, from Capricorn, from that Saturn, right? So put on your snazziest pants and get ready to do a balancing act and juggle some things. And yeah, try to keep your mood light and be playful, and yeah, get excited, and I don't know, get dreamy about like what you want to call in. Oh, also my final thing, I was going to tell you this quick like anecdote. So I manifested something so like so absurd. The things that you kind of joke around about are the things, or like that you half even like think about, are always the things that are the easiest to manifest. So it's so hard, like when you want something like significant, to like be that lighthearted and joke about it. But it's good to, because I always like, I want a cape. Like I love having wraps. I love having like woven things. And I also have been like, man, I want a cape so that when I'm like strolling through the forest during the winter, I can like really be like walking through like an enchantress of a realm with my cape, and it'll be awesome because it'll be really warm, but I can still like get to my pockets in my dress and like, and all that in the forest, and like, you know, be really dramatic about it and be weird. So I was like, okay, I want a cape. And there are capes out there that are like really nice, and so now it's a thing now. I mean, people are like, I'm just gonna be a witch, or I'm gonna be a wizard. Like I'm gonna be a wizard in life. There's the lizard lady, there's cat person, like, you know, wolf face dude, like, you know. So I'm like, well, there's, you know, all that. So I'm just like, I want a cape. Drape myself in velvet. So I was watching this movie Vibes, which is an 80s movie with Cyndi Lauper and Jeff Goldblum and Peter Falk, and who played Columbo, and they go down to like the Andes Mountains, and they're on the hunt. They're like two psychics, Goldblum and Lauper are both psychics, and they go down there on the hunt for this like magical artifact in the Andes Mountains. And so there's a scene, and I'm like loving all the outfits in this movie, and I'm obsessed with like Jeff Goldblum. He's so cute, and he's young and so weird. And Peter Falk, like as they're like hiking up in the mountains, he has on like a South American like poncho, and I'm like, oh, I love that poncho, and I bet it is really like nice to hike around in because it's like not restrictive or whatever. And so and it doesn't move, like it's just draped around you, so you don't have like reach out and like your jacket moves and you're like, I'm freezing, you know. It's like everything's covered. So I'm like, oh, I love that poncho, and I love that South American print. And so I was like, gosh, I want a poncho. And I go home this afternoon, as my mom was gonna give me my like a Christmas bag of goodies because I couldn't go home on Christmas, and my brother and my sister-in-law had me this bag, and it was a gift that I wasn't expecting, but they had gotten me a cape that is like a poncho, that is a South American. It's like a woolen woven cape, just like I wanted. But it's like the South American poncho print, and it's like even literally like, it's not like a closed-in poncho. Like it's like it has the, like the connector here, and it's like open, and I can like be like that. So yeah. Oh my God, I told you I wasn't gonna do another hour-long video, and it's 53 minutes, so I kept my promise. See y'all. Bye, house.